Hello and welcome to The Thread of Gentlemen, a brand new podcast where we take a kamikaze dive into the best
and often worse tales the internet has to offer.
I'm Johnny. I'm Ben.
I'm Charlie. And without any further ado,
I think we need to get the show started. Giving my friend's son's pinkeye.
Yeah, fine.
We're so far deep in this process now. I was like, yeah, cool. Yeah. Sounds about right.
This is like a palate cleanser for us at this point, isn't it? The melon that comes
It's
around.
one of two ways, though, with something like this. Is it intentional or is it accidental?
You never know with these stories. You never know.
It's Schrodinger's cat of pinkeye. Okay, last night I was at a buddy's house for dinner for burgers, brats, and beer.
That's good.
It's brats.
It's like sausage, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess breakfast. But
Yeah.
Okay. I just learned something new.
I assume it's that and not like the little kids.
Yeah, maybe that's just the
that's where I went.
Like brats.
I don't know that, or they just really fucking hate their kids. So it's an intentional pink eye.
Yeah.
I had a bit of everything, and eventually I had to take a massive shit while I was there. We're all close, so I went up and used the bathroom to do my business. Everything was fine, except there was no toilet paper and no wipes. And I honestly didn't feel like doing the waddle of shame to get some.
Yeah, I get that.
No, you sacrifice your socks.
But
Yeah.
like, how bad was it? Is this like there's no paperwork involved, or is it, oh dear, I've had to cut it off?
I mean, you find a towel and then you hide said towel, don't you? That's what you do.
You don't find a towel. You just don't find a towel.
Or do you just put the tap on, have a scoop, and then...
Yeah, I suppose you could just like do a homemade bidet, like bidet.
Bidet to you.
Because I'm tired.
Okay, so where did I get to? So he wasn't going to do the waddle of shame. He wasn't going to plug it and
Plug it.
Yeah. Just I don't know. Do they have any like plastic flowers in there? You just
Where have all the wine corks gone?
His wife had one of those fancy bidgets though, and I thought, what the hell?
Bidgets. Is that supposed to be bidet? Is that what we've just been talking about? Bidet, whatever. What's a bidget?
That's got to be a bidet with an autocorrect.
Yeah.
Should we
What
just
is that
like, go on
autocorrect?
assuming that we don't know what a bidget is?
Yeah.
Oh, she had one of those fancy midgets.
The bathroom midget.
Yeah.
One of that, of course.
Like he's doing well in life.
Handing out lollipops.
It is like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Chocolate factory. Right, so we're assuming that's a bidet, are we?
Let's assume it's a bidet. The next line is a dead giveaway. A little water would just be as good. Right? Wrong. Now my ass is wet as fuck and I still don't have anything to dry off. Is that a problem though?
So I've used a bidet.
Yeah.
And it was,
I haven't, so this would be interesting.
honestly, it's incredible.
Yeah.
So I stayed at a hotel recently and they had like these electric toilets which had like the jet that kind of goes up.
You get to set the
three
pressure.
smiley
You
faces.
can set the pressure. You can
Right.
set like it kind of oscillates, like rotates nicely. Like you can kind of do up and down. There's a few different motions.
How does it find the hole?
Witchcraft, but it
Really?
yeah. If
Really? Okay.
little camera, just kind of like, oh, there it is.
Straight onto YouPorn or whatever.
Yeah, you signed a disclaimer.
But no, it's amazing. It cleans it perfectly. Feels great.
And then what happens after? Does it just... You just wipe normally to dry? Or?
Yeah, you do it. Give it a token wipe just to kind of make sure there's no a little wiggle and
Lie by the pool with your arse cheeks spread.
up you go.
I was just going to say though, for record's sake, this guy's basically just like up Main Street, and he's like, "Oh no, I've got water on my arse." I'm like, "That's not
still
a
better than
problem."
where you were.
Yeah, I
That's-
mean, like I'd just go, "All right, a bit of a moist body."
Yeah, that'll dry.
Yeah. Let's see how he fucked this up then. Okay, so now my arse is wet as fuck, and I still don't have anything to dry it off. Now here's where I had a lapse in judgment. Number one, I decided to just pull my shit up and walk out. I wasn't wearing any khakis or something see-through, so no one's going to notice. Fair enough. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
basically he's wearing black jeans. Fine.
Yeah.
Got it.
safe maneuver from anyone, as long as he wasn't wearing white underwear. I head back outside. We played some cards, talked shit, had more beers. I go in to take a piss, brought a napkin with me to dab my pecker. So he did his thing and headed back outside. Lapse in judgment number 2. I thought it would be hilarious to moon everyone. From the sliding door. So I dropped my pants and pressed up real close against the glass. Yes. Apparently I had a zit in my crack and everybody had a laugh. I buckle my pants and go out. I feel like there's not a lapse of judgment. It's just a fun night out.
That's standard. Yeah, pretty standard move.
Good Wednesday.
2 minutes later, my buddy's 7-year-old heard the laughter and thought he'd try and make it funny too. Well, we heard a loud bong, bong, bong against the sliding door. And we see him with his face and hands pressed up against the glass in the exact same spot where I'd my arse against the window. Unintentional pink eye.
Unintentional
pink eye.
I feel like that's the best type of pink eye. There's no malice behind it.
Well, he's not going to prison.
Can you go to prison for pink eye? It depends on the delivery. If it's like if it's ring against eyeball, I think you've got bigger problems than the pink eye. There was a collective ooh from everyone as the boy giggled like a maniac. His mum poured a fat glass of wine and jogged after him for an early bath. This morning I woke up with a little text that said he got pink eye in both eyes. Oh, bless the little
Poor kids, lesson learned.
Oh, God. I mean, there was no lapse of judgment there.
No,
that was entirely the kid's fault.
100%.
The kid's fault.
Yeah.
Similar story that's not the kid's fault. A guy I know, he had a kid with teething at the time. And he was kind of like scratching his ass pretty kind of fiercely. Like he had some Grogans going on and he just kind of did it. Then the wife kind of came in and said, your kid's crying. Can you just kind of have a feel for these teeth? So he fingers straight in the kid's mouth, rubbing it around on the teeth. Kid just screaming.
The kid's called Bleeding Gums Murphy now.
Mum didn't have a clue. She was like, oh, she said, I don't know.
I mean, that is the equivalent, by the way, of just being like, you'd probably be safer just like looking around and being like, oh, there's a hobo. Do you mind checking my son's teeth?
Okay, this one is called the shit magician.
Like,
great love.
Sorry, I already got questions. Like the level of the quality of his act, or
I don't know yet. I'm kind of hoping for both. My dad used to know someone called Wesley who was unemployed and liked to piss outside cafes and restaurants.
Oh, Jesus.
End of story.
Sometimes even take a shit outside there. Right.
Oh,
I know.
Wesley.
Go on, Wes. I know 3 people called Wesley. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, sounds about
right.
right.
Wesley.
Yeah. Everyone knows a Wes.
That is true. I've only ever known one Wes in my life. Nutcase.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we're onto something here.
I think we are.
Anyway, my dad told me that he had become a party magician. However, this did not last long, as apparently he did something truly f***ing disgusting. Wesley had gone to a child's birthday party in Burgess Hill and performed his acts. Because Wesley hadn't been trained as a qualified magician yet, his magic acts were awful, so he improvised. Wesley had asked all the kids if they wanted to see a final magic trick, to which surprisingly they said yes. So,
it's not a f***ing never-ending handkerchief, I can tell you that much.
Alright, it doesn't start well. Wesley got his lighter out of his pocket.
Classic Wesley.
Pulled down his trousers to his ankles and lay down on the floor.
Oh, Wesley, no.
All the kids were looking at Wesley's filthy anus. And they...
Wesley's now sharing a cell with Ian Watkins.
As they could see Wesley putting his legs in the air and saying over and over again, "Watch the torch go out." Wesley made the flame disappear by apparently making a big fart. Wesley did this trick over and over again, and I swear to God, not even joking, made a few of the kids hold the lighter so he would put it out with his stinky farts. One of the parents walked in and screamed, If you don't get the out, I will call the police.
By the way, was the magic trick making the kids' eyebrows disappear? Now you see them.
You all have pink eye tomorrow. Wesley ran out of the house, forgetting his lighter, and even that his trousers were still round his ankles. The parents called the police later on that day anyway.
Yeah.
Wesley was arrested only the next day, as the police had caught him walking back to the house where he'd been before. Now, my dad doesn't know if this particular detail is true, but apparently Wesley had a massive turd in his hand.
Wesley,
What are you up to, Wes?
what are you doing, pal? Oh, you're better than this, Wes. Come on.
I don't know if he
Maybe he's not.
No,
clearly not.
The story where he casually likes to piss and defecate on cafe fronts.
Oh, right.
It was a cafe, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. He was intending to smear shit all over the house.
What?
Wesley was never heard of again, but rumour has it that instead of going to prison, he went to a home where he's currently being cared for. Yeah.
Wait, is he that clown character in American Horror Story? That this was like the origin of that clown.
Yeah, maybe.
Wesley, no.
Oh God! Like I'd kind of really start to understand why people find clowns super creepy.
You're going to get a severe clown phobia from that.
Yeah.
Although if your kids are probably going to laugh, let's not lie. Someone does like farts in front
Well,
of
they're
you.
like, mango.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that like happen when you're a kid and you forget about it, and then 20 years later,
You'll be like,
oh, I need to see
Yeah,
it.
you were watching It Part 1 and you saw Pennywise and you were like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Why can I taste arsehole?
Yeah, they do. It's that subtly recall, isn't it? You're just like, Why do I smell burnt hair? Yeah, and fecal matter. Oh, Wesley, that's quite scary. That's like I'm very much picturing like a down and out clown.
Yeah, drunk clown.
Yeah.
With a big off hunting knife.
And he's got just like that beige brown stain on the white underpants. Yeah, Mark. Oh God.
Is there no like, not like a test or a qualification, but do you not have to at least get a DBS background check or something to be a clown?
You're gonna need something
start
like that. You're
advertising.
just kids.
Good question.
I guess maybe not.
I
back
don't
then.
think you do.
I, mean, if
I
you
think
call
it's
it-
just at the behest of the people who are employing the random stranger dressed like a to come over to their house and do so. Surely people don't get clowns anymore.
No, that's got to be a dying art.
Yeah.
Thank
It's just like we've hammered in the nail of like they're creepy. Period.
it's been done to death.
Joaquin Phoenix was the last one.
the
If you've liked what you've heard in this podcast, but you've got your own stories that you know are even worse,
Please send it through to stories@thethreadofgentleman.com.
And we will do our best to air your dirty and filthy laundry for you. Thank you.
Okay, really good story that was sent in to us. Thank you, whoever sent this in. M, apparently, is the name. I think that's a lie. Today I f***ed up. Today I f***ed up by throwing my steak out of a window.
Okay, yeah.
Metaphor?
Euphemism.
Last night, my wife's boss from her brand new job invited us over for dinner. On the drive over, my wife reiterated many times to me just how important it was to make a good impression. I scoffed and arrogantly informed my silly wife that I always make good impressions. We've all been there, pal. My wife's boss is a single lady in her 50s, so it was just the three of us. We chit-chatted over drinks and salads and seemed to be really hitting it off. She laughed at my well-timed, perfectly appropriate jokes, and my wife seemed pleased. Soon she brought out the main course, a nice big juicy steak for each of us. As I began to cut into my steak, I was discouraged to discover how undercooked this steak was. I don't think a steak can be undercooked if you ask me, but we are where we are. Now I've had my fair share of rare steak. I prefer medium, but I can handle rare. This was several minutes.
Sounds like he can't. The first thing he did was complain about it.
I mean, medium rare is obviously that sweet spot where you get the nice flavour on the outside, but you get the texture of the rare on the inside.
But if you can handle rare, you can handle rare.
You know what
I
it is,
mean?
though? We've all had those restaurants that don't know what they're doing, and they've obviously pulled the steak out the fridge like 10 minutes before putting it on the grill, so you get that kind of purpley, rubbery.
Yeah.
But we'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. We've got your back, brother.
This guy who seems to have a very good opinion of his own first impression. Did he say? Am I right in saying as well that he just was like, "I make a great first impression, you."
Love me or else.
Yes.
So I've had my fair share of rare steak. I prefer medium, but I can handle rare. This was several minutes on a hot grill short of rare. I probably could have resuscitated the cow had I tried. Instead, I sat there fidgeting with my knife and fork, worried about how I was going to get away with not eating this steak.
Give it a try.
Power through. You've got this. Claim veganism? No, I'd already feigned great enthusiasm upon seeing the steak. Just then, our hostess excused herself to the kitchen to take care of some dessert preparations. As I looked across the fancy dining room table at the open window of this third-story apartment, a cartoon light bulb appeared over my head. I knew I had to be decisive. Realizing that she could return at any moment, I committed. I grabbed the steak with my hand, gently shook off the juice, and executed a perfect throw right through the center of the open window. Here's the big time f*** up. The window wasn't open. It was the cleanest f***ing window you've ever seen in your life. That is until my mostly raw slab of steak slammed up against it and slowly slid down, leaving a trail of bloody juice in its wake. My wife, whose steak was a nice medium rare and unaware of my predicament, turned, jaw dropped, and stared at me like I was an alien from another planet. This look then slowly morphed into more of a "there is no place on this planet you can ever hide from me" expression of demonic anger. My wife's boss heard the thud of the steak on window impact and came quickly. She took in the scene, the steak sitting on the windowsill, the bloody trail, my empty plate, and then gave me an inquisitive, puzzled look. I just didn't know what to say. It felt like a minute of silence, but it was probably 3 or 4 seconds. Finally, the best I could manage was, I'm so sorry. I'm such a klutz. I don't know. I was just cutting it, and it slipped.
Across the room.
Just ask my wife. I really am a klutz. Right, honey? I will clean this up. I can't believe this. I'm so sorry. Both women continued to stare at me like I had escaped from the loony bin as I smeared the blood around the window with my cloth napkin, dusted off the steak. I continued to mutter my incoherent explanation. I knew no one was buying the story. I knew what I had to do. I sheepishly returned to my seat and proceeded to eat every bite of that disgusting, cold, chewy, bloody raw steak.
Tasted like Winderly.
Like Windex flavouring.
I remained pretty quiet the rest of the evening. My wife's only 2 words to me since the incident are, "I'm fine."
Bullshit. It was sign here on the divorce papers, you
There is an update.
Oh
no. Update. Just got the first post "I'm fine" communication from my wife via text who is at work. Good news. The boss and I had just had a good laugh over how much of a f***ing idiot you are. I hope you know you'll never live this down. Love you, you moron.
Okay, he's off the hook.
His wife is golden. You're a lucky guy.
Was he living in a caravan?
Surrounded by cows.
That is a colossal up.
Yeah, as they go.
I mean, the thought process of just like open window, steak, the third out.
There are better ways to deal with your problems.
Isn't it just so refreshing to have a story that doesn't involve something going up somebody or pooing somewhere weird?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still hearing about meat flying across a room. So
yeah.
It's like the first lesson you're taught as a kid. You're sat in your high chair and your parents are going, no, don't throw food.
No, don't throw the food across the table.
Cow Frisbee!
Well, that was a depraved episode with lots of interesting and kind of ridiculous stories, but
yeah.
Thanks for checking it out. All the best.